YouTube, welcome to the PLA draft rankings. I am here with Cambat. Cambat, please say hello.
Hello.
And we are going to be doing just the rankings on the draft purely. This is not on skill at all. Just on how we thought the teams were drafted for the PLA. Thank you to all the teams that drafted, participated, and we have the new team members. So thank you so much to everybody that's participating. I'm super excited for this league. We're probably going to run one more this summer sometime. But yeah, super excited. I'll probably run a few a year, and I can't wait to do it in the future. Cambat is our singles expert here because I'm a little bit out of the meta. I haven't played for like 5 years. I have a general idea, but we're just kind of going back and forth, just talking about a few things currently. We're going to go through each team. We're going to give basically our thoughts on how well we think they drafted off rip, if they should make any transactions, and where we think they will be after the power rankings. I'll probably give more of my general thoughts on that. I think Cambat's going to be more on like what he thinks about their draft and what changes they should make. Because I know more generally about these players because I've played with them in the past, but he knows a lot more about the competitive scene in singles right now. All right, so starting off, we'll start off with Western Mass because they're at the bottom of our list here.
All right.
Sorry, on the screen, not the bottom of the tier list. Apologies. But yeah, so I think their team generally strong. Me and Cambat talked about these teams a little bit before. Definitely physically heavy, could maybe use some more special attackers, and a little bit ground heavy. But otherwise, I would say a pretty solid team. Cambat?
Yeah, so I would definitely agree. My biggest problem was, as he mentioned, that there is a significant lack of special attackers. Ninetales being the only dedicated one. While I do enjoy seeing sets like Meteor Beam Metagross and Hurricane Salamence, there's very little special presence. However, this team still has some very good Pokemon. Cinderace being 18, I believe it's Libero, which is a very strong Pokemon. Landorus T and Tyranitar is a black and white core that is definitely very, very strong. Sandslash has a little bit of speed with Sandrush. Mega Beedrill, I haven't seen much success with it, but it is definitely hard to deal with, and in the right hands can do a ton of damage and pick up a ton of knockouts. And then you have Veil with very strong setup sweepers like Salamence and Tyranitar.
Yeah, so generally pretty strong team. And for sure, I mean, the Western Mass Flareons, I know Moods, he's probably the best battler in this league, so I wouldn't be surprised after our first week of battling, or our first 2 weeks, if his team didn't rise up to S in the power rankings, but this is only for the draft. This is not just power rankings. But yeah, I think we generally agreed between me and Cambat. I think we're going to put them in B tier. Correct?
Yep.
Yeah, awesome.
That is what we decided.
All right. So we will toss the Cosmogs into B tier. Or sorry, the Western Mass Flareons into B tier. Good drafted team. Just some minor flaws. They could maybe make some transactions. I think a transaction that they would like to make is maybe avoiding Sandslash, but I don't know. I'll toss that over to Cambat, see on his thoughts what he thinks. Maybe some changes they could look to do for for preseason.
So personally, I don't like making that many changes. I tend not to. This team has a very strong start. It's going to be hard to see what succeeds and what doesn't, as they have a couple of mons that are in interesting roles. Beedrill Mega, obviously, I don't see a lot of, so it's hard to say what it does and what it doesn't do. So I think they're definitely at a good starting point for a possible week 1, and just play a couple of matches and see how it goes and go from there.
All right. Well, good job to the Western Mass Flareons. Good luck in the league. I know Moods you're going to carry. You're going to go crazy, so I'm excited to see what you do with this team. Sacramento Drowsies. This is Andy and Juju. Oh, sorry. Also, shout out to Reckless. New guy who's joined the league, another streamer. Excited to see what he does with Moods. But yeah, we have Andy and Juju on the Sacramento Drowsies. I generally thought this is the weakest team in the league, unfortunately, but don't get me wrong. I feel like all these teams are pretty close. That's why I added a C tier. There is no D tier on our tier list because I feel like the bottom teams are generally somewhat close. Mawile Mega, I think, is a fantastic steel type to pick up. Just beautiful mod for just anything. I feel like it's dominating the meta from what I've heard at the moment. Besides that, though, I'm not liking much about this team. I like Mew. Mew's a good pick. Just in general, just a value mon. But I think really besides that, I'm not the biggest fan of this team. I don't know, Cambat, what do you think about it?
So Mega Mawile is definitely a very strong Pokemon. It has been banned in several leagues already, and was banned in Gen 7 draft for a reason. It hits very hard, and with Sucker Punch and Swords Dance, it is a very large threat, and easily capable of sweeping teams completely by itself. Mew is another great example of very, very strong draft Pokemon. It has so many sets it can run, and it's so hard to prep for. Outside of that, there aren't too many incredible other noticeable Pokemon. Kyurem is one of my personal favorites. I love Scarf Kyurem. A lot of teams tend not to have a freeze dry resist or a weaker steel, which allows Kyurem to just put in a ton of work. They have a lot of Pokemon that are in like the 3 to 9 point range, which sometimes works out, but it is very difficult to deal with, as it puts you generally on the weaker end defensively, and you have a lot of Pokemon that don't hit as hard as you need them to. Webs help out this team a lot for sure, as their fastest Pokemon is Hawlucha, although Sharpedo does get speed boost, which is very helpful for speed tiers here. The only other thing is Hawlucha without terrain is always questionable, as it means it has to attack to get its speed boost, usually using White Herb, although it can also be Power Herb for something like Sky Attack. So I think this team has a lot of potential, but I think overall it lacks synergy and lacks speed, and it has potential, definitely capable of dealing large amounts of damage, but being able to open up their damage dealers to do that damage is going to be difficult for them.
Yeah. As far as like my power rankings for next week, I think they're going to be generally the same. We're going to slide them into C tier. I'm sorry, Andy and Juju. I know you guys are awesome people, but I think you guys are personally one of the weaker teams, if not the weakest. I apologize. That's just my general thoughts. But you guys can totally prove me wrong and blow up the season and go off. So I'm excited to see what you guys do. But yeah, Cambat, any like transactions you would look to maybe have them get in the next week before we really get into the season?
So I think Feraligatr and Glycopod are both in a really weird spot here, as well as Garbodor. They are all kind of weak, and double water, especially double physical water that aren't gigantic wall breakers, is very difficult to play with. Glycopod having priority is extremely nice, helps to make up for your lack of speed. But then you also have Sharpedo, so I would probably look to transact one of those mons, maybe for a grass type, another ground resist, or some sort of speed, just to help you out there.
Right. Well, there you go. Those are your recommendations, Juju and Andy. Hopefully you guys take those into thought, and good luck in week 1. Moving on to the Ghetto Galarian Slowbros. I really like this team's first starting 6. Like, I love Dragapult, Feeny, Excadrill, Venusaur Mega, Volcarona, Mimikyu. I think that's insane. They get a little bit weaker down on the other end, but Cambat will get into that shortly. I think overall, though, I do like this team's potential. And I know Fluff and Fear, just talking about, going into power rankings early here before we go into their analysis, but I think they definitely have a chance to rise into B, possibly into A tier in the power rankings in the next few weeks, because they do have good battlers on their team. But yeah, I'll toss it over to Cambat on just draft synopsis. What does he think?
So, this team, I love the immediate Dragon Fairy Steel Core. Excadrill, Tapu Fini, Dragapult are all very strong, and then follow it up with Venusaur Mega and Volcarona. However, this team I had some major problems with that prevented me from putting higher. For one thing, Grapploct and Virizion don't do much, and for another thing, you drafted Regirock over Gigalith. Now I do understand not having enough points for Gigalith. However, even dropping Dedenne for Hippodos to be able to set sand for your Excadrill is something that you could really benefit from. And that's one of the major problems I had with this team. Otherwise, you have a really solid offensive core. Very top heavy, but when in the right hands, there's nothing wrong with that. So
yeah, recommendations, you would just probably say Hippotos. I know you were talking about getting who was it? Gigalith as well, possibly.
Yeah, so I would definitely drop Grapploct here, and then maybe find a way to fit a Sandsetter, either Hippotos or Gigalith.
Right. Well, there you go. Fluff and Fear. Think about getting a Sandsetter. On Cambat's request, could be super helpful for you in the coming weeks, and good luck to you guys. I think we had you. Sorry, I forgot to rank them. We had them in we'll say, sorry, we had them right behind Moods' team, the Flareons, and we're going to put them in lower B tier at the moment. All right, moving on to the New York Cosmogs. I really generally think this is one of the strongest teams in the league. I mean, great. Just Fairy Dragon Steel Core is fantastic. Firewater Grass Core is pretty good, except for Typhlosion's a bit weak. And when talking to Cambat, I kind of agree that the Heliolisk is a little bit out of place. But generally, I think this is a very strong team, and you guys should be proud of yourselves. Soul and Sonic Slasher, great drafting. But yeah, I'll toss it over to Cambat to where he thinks you guys could maybe fix up the team a little bit and just draft thoughts.
So this team is definitely one of my favorites. Clefable Cell Steel Zygarde is an incredibly strong Fairy Dragon Steel. Gengar has some nice speed for you. Tangrowth is a very strong defensive backbone. Mega Blastoise is all around solid, hits hard, can spin. Heliolisk is interesting for me, as well as Typhlosion. Typhlosion's weird because it doesn't really switch into anything, which is what I typically like to see in a fire type, especially when you're going for the Firewater Grass Core. However, Typhlosion doesn't switch into much except Flash Fire moves, so really all it's doing is breaking steals, which Zygarde loves to set up on bulky steals, so that may not be the most helpful thing for you. I love that you have Cosmog. I love that this league drafts mascots. So much fun to see. Excelgor and Corsola, underrated mons. Corsola's very good at tanking. In draft, it's much less effective than on ladder, because almost everyone has some sort of way to knock it off or run Toxic or Taunt on their team. And Excelgor is just good at spikes, maybe run a final Gambit just to get rid of a threat. So, overall, one of my favorite teams in the league for sure.
Definitely got the sauce. As far as power rankings next week, I'm going to assume this team stays where they generally are. I am going to put them in A tier. Cambat, I would say, S tier currently. We're going to put them in S as of this week. You guys drafted really well, in my opinion, and I think you guys are going to stay in a similar sort of range because I know Soul, from what I've heard, is quite a good battler, and I'm excited to see what you guys do with it, as well as Sonic Slasher. So, good luck to you guys. One last thing, though. Sorry, I forgot to say. Cambat is going to go into possible transactions for your guys' team. So, yeah, general thoughts from you on that, Cambat.
Honestly, I think this team is great. I don't know if Cosmo counts as one of your 10 mons, but if it does, you could possibly drop something like Typhlosion or Corsola. But I feel like your top 6, even top 7, are strong enough. And I feel like you have a great start and can win games with this alone. Drafting, you have, again, a very top-heavy draft, so it's hard to find value out of all your mons, and sometimes you just need to fill one specific role. Like in this case, Typhlosion is just there to break steals and do nothing else. Corsola maybe set rocks and has haze and can wall some things that may mess you up, whether it be a fast electric type or fast fire type. So I think you have a great start, and I'm sure you can make it better, but I haven't found an easy way to do so. So good luck with your season.
So yeah, Cosmog doesn't count, unfortunately, but yeah. So you were saying, just think about replacing, what was it, Typhlosion, possibly, or?
Typhlosion feels like the most out-of-place member, but yeah. I do understand if you don't want to have difficulty breaking like Corviknight or Skarmory or things of the sort.
Right. Alright, well, good luck to you, Soul and Sonic. I mean, yeah, you guys have a great team. There's maybe just a few flaws, but in general, super strong. Excited to see what you guys do with the league. Good luck, good luck. Moving on to the Portland Passimians. A very interesting team because Maroc kind of came in, took over last minute, and just drafted the entire team by himself during, like, it was crazy time. He lives in the EU too, so he was staying up late, and I think he drafted fantastically. I mean, I was talking to Cambat about this. I mean, he's got just some straight up powerful mons. I didn't even know Blastoise now, you know, the Shell Smash meta is insane apparently, and super value for 9, as well as a mon like Whimsicott. I mean, he just has a lot of value picks here. A lot of the same kind of stuff at the moment. Like with the fighting types, that was like my one knock on it. There's a lot of fighting types in general. You got, you know, Passimian, Lopunny, Mega, and then Blaziken. And it's just kind of, you know, there's just a few flaws, because I feel like in general, it's a great draft. But yeah, I'll toss it over to Cambat, and we'll see what he thinks.
So this team was definitely my favorite going into it. I completely ignored Blaziken because, as he said, triple fire, and you do have your mascot, which is the same speed and also fighting type as Blaziken. So I would definitely look to drop Blaziken for something better, because similar to Typhlosion, it doesn't necessarily have the bulk that you would get from bulky fire, and with Passimian and Lopunny, you may not be getting as much value out of it as you want. Blastoise for 9 is definitely a steal. First round is always a little questionable picking something that's not 18 points, but obviously you have Torn-T-Zero, which is a favorite to draft Sun and Moon Core, and works just as well in Sword and Shield. Torn-T is an incredible Pokemon, and Zeraora is very difficult to check as well. Hoopa Bound is an incredible wall breaker, and Lopunny is a great cleaner, so I think you have an incredible team, and I think you guys will do very well this season.
Cool. Unfortunately for me, I would say power rankings. I think you guys are maybe destined to go a little bit down because I don't know Marok's full background in battling, but apparently his drafting is insane. So I don't know, maybe you guys will make an upset here, you and Pancake, Marok. I think you guys do have some potential, of course, because your team is fantastic. But yeah, in general, like Cambat said, I would say maybe take it into thought. Just get a bulky fire type. But yeah, power rankings, I would say you'll probably drop a little bit because we're going to have you pretty high in the list. I would say you'll probably drop to like B tier, but this team is definitely an A or S tier team. We had it at S, but I kind of dropped it to A just because there's flaws currently. Like the triple fighting, for me personally, drops it down quite a bit. But in general, I mean, literally just switch up the Blaziken. You're an S tier team, probably the best drafted team. I think our MVP for the draft will be Marok. I think he did fantastic, and I'm just excited to see what he has to do this league or in this league. And I think Cambat can agree with me on that one.
Yep, I would definitely agree.
For sure. Moving on to Lava Ridge with Crystal and Megas. I think this is, we talked about, this is the Mono Fire team. We don't know why it's Mono Fire. It actually has a lot of good checks, funny enough. I think that's really the only reason we're going to rank it pretty low. But I think in general, it's a really fun team. It's a decently strong team. And yeah, I'll just toss it over to Cambat to see what he thinks about the drafting. I think it's too much fire, a little bit of a glaring ground weakness, but yeah.
So this team was really weird for me because I noticed the 6 fire types relatively immediately. And I was like, well, what beats fire type? And obviously water types, and ground types, and rock types. But you also have 2 grass types. And then you have Sandaconda, which is a solid Edgequake answer, as well as Gliscor, which is another solid Edgequake answer. Dusclops is there. Dusclops is a good wall, and there is always the option of Trick Room with Mega Camerupt, which is very strong. Even Trick Room, Eruption, Torkoal is possible, although significantly less likely. I would love to see Eruption, Mega Camerupt, but very difficult to run with Stealth Rocks. I think this team's biggest problem is Stealth Rock weakness. Their the defoggers on this team do not really want to be running defog. And your best removal is probably Torkoal, which you will want to look to be keeping healthy. In regards to what mons you may want to drop, I would definitely drop Ninetales on this team. At no time do you ever need to be able to run 6 fire types on one team, especially in draft that's not a monotype league. And having 2 Sunsetters is a little redundant when Torkoal is it's so good at setting the sun consistently throughout a game with its bulk. Maybe your Unrest has good damage in Lava Plume and Body Press. Volcanion is an interesting pick. I don't see it in draft very often, but I like it with Sun, as it is very good at switching into water types, which is great. And then other than that, you just have a bunch of hard hitters. Obviously with 6 fire types, you're going to hit hard. I do notice that 5 of the 6 of them are special, which is something to notice, but I know this league there's no Chansey, no Blissey. Really, the biggest thing that will give you issues is something maybe like Melodic or Vaporeon, so I think you definitely will do well if you can play around with the fire grass core you have going on that is very strong for you.
Alright, well, Lava Ridge Eruptions. I know you guys, I know Crystal is a little bit tricky with it, so as far as power rankings for next week, I'm going to assume that you guys will move up from where we have you now. Because currently, I'm going to have you in C tier. the lower end of C tier, not the worst team in the league, but I'm gonna have you as the second worst, unfortunately. Just because you guys, there's a lot of glaring weaknesses, but I feel like you guys definitely can help your team a lot. I mean, just take what Cambat said. Really just thinking about getting rid of Ninetales, looking for some more coverage. I think you guys could have a great season. But like I said, I think you guys will definitely jump up to possibly a B, maybe even an A tier team, knowing how good Crystal is at mix-ups and just battling. He gets in your head. He's really good. So I'm excited to see what you do, Crystal and Megas. Good luck to you both. Moving on to Toronto. Oh wait, sorry. Double checking. So as far as transactions, you said get rid of Ninetales and.
Ninetales was really the only one. You could possibly get rid of Sandaconda as you don't need 2 grounds, but I do like that it's also a rock resist, which is a good edge quake, which is extremely important for fire. So
right.
Ninetales is the only glaring one for me.
Gotcha. All right, well, guys, take that into thought, and we'll move on to the Toronto Tyrantrums with Alex and Kasai. Kasai new to the Pokemon scene, but I know Alex has been here for a long time. I would say a generally strong team, maybe a few weaknesses, but in general, not too bad. We're going to have you on the lower end, I think, but I kind of like this team. I think it has some decent speed tiers with basically Regieleki and a few other things, but I think it could be better. But I'll toss it over to Cambat to see what he has to say about that.
So this team, it has a lot of very strong Pokemon. Dracovish is strong, Infernape is very good, obviously fast, can be both physical and special. But the one thing that really stuck out to me about this team is there's a lack of offensive synergy, because you have Pokemon like Dracovish, which is so good at doing what it does, but all of the Pokemon that seem to stop what it does also stop the rest of your team. Like a bulky water that stops Dracovish also stops Infernape, also stops Tyrantrum, can also stop Nidoking even. So you're really relying on Silvally to cover those gaps for you offensively, as well as even defensively, as you don't necessarily have a fairy type, and so something that can just click Draco Meteor through your team is going to be very difficult. Obviously, mentioning bulky waters, Regieleki can break them, but Regieleki is not very good at dealing damage consistently, as it is hard-walled by ground types, which is unfortunate for it. So I think this team has somewhere to go. It has a lot of hard hitters, but I think it's just going to take very good play to get value out of those hard hitters, especially playing around Dracovish and Regieleki, both being very one-dimensional.
Right. As far as transactions, I mean, what are you thinking in general?
So, in general, this is a very hard team to fix easily, so I don't really know what I'd do. Maybe replace Regieleki with a more versatile electric type, but it's hard to say.
Alright, well, Alex, I would maybe look to, I don't know, I'll see if I can contact you with some other battlers and team builders. Maybe we could get you some thoughts on maybe reconstructing a little bit, but right now there's just a lot of glaring weaknesses, I think, according to Cambat, but I think still generally strong mons like solo, or in general, like solely strong, I don't know, strong in a general sense, kind of.
Yeah, definitely a lot of hard hitters, very
Yeah.
strong Pokemon by themselves.
Yes, so maybe you'll turn it around. Right now we have you just above Mono Fire. I think you guys, speaking in like power rankings terms in the next few weeks, I'm gonna expect you guys to stay in around the high C to low B kind of too. So I think you guys will stick around kind of the same-ish area. But I know Alex does have some potential to pop off. He does Alex Blunder, but he also pops off sometimes in battles. So I'm excited to see if you guys do decide to reconstruct or kind of go with what you have and maybe just pop off. So good luck to you guys. And that is your ranking on the list. Lastly, we have my team. I think I drafted generally well. I also sought a lot of help in preparing for this draft in this league. I think my cores are pretty freaking good. I think I covered a lot of things in general. I think personally this is my favorite team, but in general, like, I think the Portland Passimians, like I said, Maroc, if he would have changed maybe a few things, this would be the best drafted team. That's why we're giving him the MVP, and not someone like me or Soul. But in general, I think our team is pretty darn strong. So I'm confident in putting it where I am today, which, okay, I know a lot of people, ace bias, but don't worry, I'll have my thoughts later about where I'll be, where I think consistently throughout the league. But tossing it over to Kasai on his thoughts on my team.
Yeah, so he definitely is a very strong team. First one with Melodic is a very difficult core to break, similar to Feral Pex, as you might see in like OU. Tapu Koko is a very strong mon right now. Very hard to switch into. Electric plus Fairy is very strong, and also has U-turn and Volt Switch to punish switches. Every mon on his team is strong in its own way. Even Diglett can be very annoying to deal with.
Let's go!
Yeah. And then he has reasonable removal. Terrathorn is very good hazard setter, and does have Rapid Spin to complement it. Mega Charizard X is very strong wall breaker. Sound Flame has nice speed, so just a very standard hyper offense team, and it does it very well, from what I can tell. Not too many glaring weaknesses, and definitely a overall very solid team.
I guess any transactions you would think that I should maybe look to make?
So I know some people might say you should drop Diglett, but honestly it's kind of like drafting something like Goth, Baby Goth. It's just really annoying to prep for, and if you do need to trap some random Pokemon, then it can do it. So I think it's a very strong start. Maybe you find some trouble halfway in season and need to change something, but I really like this for where it is.
Nice. Alright, going on to my ranking, I think a lot of people are going to hate this, but I personally think right now, my team day one is the strongest drafted team. I do not think I will stay here as far as power ranking levels, though. While my team, I think, is quite sick, and I think is one of, I would say, top 3 as far as drafting. I feel like if anyone put, like, the Cosmogs ahead, or honestly, I take that back. I feel like 1 or 2 is definitely my team, or the Pissimians. But I think, realistically, the Pissimians just had to be lower. I mean, I guess I could maybe see someone putting New York Cosmogs ahead of me, but I feel like those 3 teams in general just drafted really well compared to the other teams in the league as far as coverage, just hitting a lot of good cores, and just solid builds in general. I feel like I said, I'm going to drop as far as power rankings. I'm sorry to everybody that thinks, oh, Ace is going to win the league, let's go. I'm probably not. I'm going to say I'll probably bounce between A tier, maybe high B. I feel like I'll have my moments where I'm in S, but I think I'll generally stick in A tier. I'll definitely be top half. I'll probably make the playoffs, but I feel like I'll probably choke in the playoffs and end up losing to someone like Moods in the finals. Like I said, he probably has the strongest team. So like I said, I'll just do like a quick recap on these teams after Cambat gives his what he thinks the rankings should be, but we're gonna go with mine for the final. But I know he had some things that he was thinking about maybe switching up, so I'll send it back to him for one last time to talk about
overall,
this tier list.
My favorite team is the Simians. Blastoise is very strong. As I said, Torrentizera, very strong offensive core. And then definitely Charizards and Cosmogs have a close for second place. I would probably put the Cosmogs over Charizards. Maybe that's just because I like the Pokemon more. Celesteela I've enjoyed using recently with Meteor Beam. So maybe that's just personal bias there. After that, I would probably go between Flareon's and everyone's favorite Mono Fire team. I don't know why I like that one so much. I just feel like it has a lot of potential, and somehow it does it pretty well. It does Mono Fire pretty well.
Right.
And then finishing off with, I would say the Tyrantrums, and then, or Slowbros, and then Tyrantrums, and then ending it off with the Sacramento Dragons.
Right. So this is his tier list. I just put it up there. I just reorganized it. So if you guys want to know Cambat's personal thoughts, maybe a little bit of bias to the New York Cosmogs, so Charizard's maybe could be higher. Let's go. But like, that's his thoughts. I totally respect. This is a good tier list as well, for sure. I mean, he's got more of the general knowledge on battling currently. But as of my personal opinion, I think currently I do have the best team. But like I said, as far as drafting in general, I think this is my personal tier list. I have mine at the top, then the Cosmogs, then the Pissimians, then Moose's team being the Flareons, then the Ghetto Galarian Slowbros in B tier, then the Toronto Tyrantrums, then the Lava Ridge Eruptions. Sorry, all you Mono Fire fans. I know Cambat's a big fan of it too. And then the Sacramento Drowsies last. As far as my predictions for power rankings, I'm going to say I think Moods will definitely jump up here. I think Portland is going to drop to like a B tier sort of range. I feel like the Galarian, the Slowbros move up. I feel like Cosmogs move down to A, and then I also move down to A below the Cosmogs. And then I feel like the Lava Ridge Eruptions move to here. And I feel like this is what we'll see probably for power rankings on week 2. This is my prediction as far as me knowing the battlers. I think this will probably be what it looks like. I could say maybe me above Cosmogs, but I think they're probably generally a better battling team than me and Shin. But we'll figure that out. I don't know. Maybe I'll pull off something crazy. But I think this will probably be what it looks like. Going to the playoffs, I think it'll probably be... this is like end of season probably prediction too. I'm going to say probably Moods and the Slowbros go from the Western Conference or Western Division, and the Charizards and the New York Cosmogs probably go for the Eastern Division of the playoffs. And I think I could make it to the finals, but I'll probably end up losing to Moods. But we'll see what happens. Good luck to all the teams. Like I said again, this is Giraffe Day though, so I'm actually going to put it back to where I had it for drafting. So this is the draft tier list, pre-rankings. We have Cinnabar Charizards, New York Cosmogs, Portland Passimians in A. Sorry, S tier was Charizards and Cosmogs. In B tier, we have the Flareons and the Slowbros. And in the C tier, we have the Tyrantrums, Lava Ridge Eruptions, and the Sacramento Drowsies. Good luck to all the teams. Thank you again to Cambat for being here and helping so much with the draft and kind of our pre-ranking thoughts. So thank you to you, Cambat. Thank you so much. We'll be sure to...
It was fun.
For sure. We'll be sure to drop his links in the description. Twitter, I don't know, what do you have? You want to shout it out now?
Literally nothing. Let's go.
We got to get you like a Twitter or something.
Guys, if you want your favorite team to be on a t-shirt, make sure you go to the merch store.
True. I am going to be dropping all of these logos on the Aces Place merch shop, which will also be linked in the description. There's some custom designs there right now that are limited time. By the end of my 1 year of streaming anniversary, they will be gone. So be sure to pick them up, and be sure to pick up your favorite team's t-shirt / whatever. They've got their own stuff. I'm putting them up right now. I think currently the Charizards are up, the Tyrantrums are up, and I think 2 other teams are currently up. But we'll be sure to put all of them up today.
Is your favorite team? Go now.
go shop now. But yeah, we'll be sure to promo all that. We'll have to get this guy Cambat a Twitter. But yeah, if you guys are on the Discord, just say thanks to him because he's helped us so much with the power rankings, and I'll probably look to him again next week or the week after for power rankings just in general. So thank you guys so much for watching. Boys and Call in the PLA, if you're here, and Cambat, feel free to say bye to YouTube.
Goodbye, YouTube. It was fun.
'Twas.
Goodbye, Mono Fire for the win.
And yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next video or stream. Peace out. Have a good one. See you.